What the hell are you?
We are Venom.
Ever since his introduction in the late 80s, Venom has become one of the premier Spidey villains and anti-heroes, with Venom seeing significant popularity in the 90s. We're not going to pretend you don't know who he is, but with Tom Hardy bringing Eddie Brock and Venom back to life on the big screen, it's the perfect time to brush up on the symbiote?
We call them symbiotes.
I'm gonna go with symbiote. Anyways, I'm Dave Klein, and let's chat Who the Hell is Venom? But first, make sure to subscribe to GameSpot Universe for more comic and film history videos, such as our videos on the Predator history or Who the Hell is the Sinister Six. Before jumping into Eddie Brock, we need to talk about the Venom symbiote itself, as it's its own entity and not really Eddie Brock. They just team up together frequently. So, what is the Venom symbiote? Well, it's technically a member of the Clintar race, an ooze-like alien organism that takes over a host. And while Eddie Brock is the most famous Venom host, he's not the only one, as the Venom symbiote can move from person to person. Interestingly, the symbiote was actually the creation of a Marvel fan. Randy Schuler submitted an idea for a Spider-Man costume and an entire backstory behind it to Marvel back in the 80s. His original idea was for Reed Richards, better known as Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four, to have created this costume for Spider-Man using the same unstable molecules their suit uses. And while this idea was eventually tossed by Marvel, they loved the design of the outfit and offered to buy it from him for $220, with the option to potentially help write it into the comics. $220. You could afford the deluxe edition of the Nintendo Entertainment System with that much money? Oh my god, I'm jealous. He came up with a few ideas, but sadly none of them were used, and the outfit and symbiote showed up in a major Marvel event, Secret Wars. Here, Spider-Man's costume is tattered and he finds the alien life form which forms around him, creating his new costume. This costume actually being similar in fashion to the recently revealed Spider-Woman who had just appeared in Secret Wars. So if you've ever wondered why Venom has a spider on his chest, it's due to this origin. After the Secret Wars ended, Peter Parker then returned to Earth still donning the new outfit. At first it seemed like a miracle costume containing all kinds of abilities. It can carry and store Peter Parker's equipment, such as his camera, it can seamlessly shift from costume to street clothes whenever Peter needs it to, and most importantly, it can produce its own webbing, meaning Peter wouldn't need his web shooters. But as Peter Parker soon learns in the sinister secret of Spider-Man's new costume, there was a catch. His costume was actually an alien symbiote that was trying to latch onto a host. Thanks to the help of the Fantastic Four, Peter was able to detach and get rid of the symbiote, which ended up harnessing a grudge against him for doing so. At one point, the symbiote broke out on its own to attack Spidey, pretending to be his normal outfit. In trying to shake off the suit, he tried utilizing the sound waves of a church bell. In a twist, the symbiote left his body and saved Peter, who himself couldn't handle the intense sound, before seeming to die. But this symbiote survived, and despite saving Peter Parker, its grudge against him only seemed to grow. Finally, Eddie Brock happened upon the symbiote around a year later. Similar to the symbiote, Eddie also held a grudge against Spider-Man. In Eddie's case, he was a newspaper reporter who had an exclusive interview with a serial killer. However, at one point, Spider-Man revealed the true serial killer was someone else, and Eddie had been mistakenly interviewing a fake who'd been claiming to be the true killer. He lost all credibility, including his job, and blamed Spider-Man for this. The symbiote, feeling like a jilted lover for Pete's rejection, sensed Eddie's burning hatred and, naturally, went straight for him. It was here that the symbiote finally received the name of Venom, but it would actually take a while for Venom to develop its distinctive look. In its first introduction, the only difference between Venom and Spider-Man was that Venom was larger and more buff, had slightly more angled eyes, and had a mouth. However, over time, the eyes and teeth would become more jagged, and his tongue would become a more distinct feature. Once they were officially bonded, Eddie and Venom maintained a pretty tumultuous relationship that tended to fluctuate between an equal partnership and a parasite/host dynamic. Eddie struggled, and often failed, to keep Venom's homicidal urges in check. Frequently, Venom would threaten wanting to eat people, a trait we know for sure is making a live-action debut thanks to the Venom trailer, but Eddie usually managed to rein it in and keep things mostly non-cannibalistic. Mostly.
Eyes, lungs, pancreas, so many snacks, so little time.
Later, it was explained that Venom's willingness to actually work with his hosts rather than just use them up and burn them out was actually extremely atypical for symbiote society and had led to Venom being branded insane on its homeworld. Over the years, Eddie and Venom's bond would be tested, broken, reformed, and tested again, leading to a string for new hosts like Matt Gargan, a supervillain formerly known as Scorpion who was given the symbiote by Norman Osborn, and Flash Thompson, Peter Parker's reformed high school bully who was given the symbiote by the government for an experimental procedure designed to weaponize its abilities as a Black Ops soldier while neutralizing its ability to think and act for itself. As far as powers and abilities are concerned, Venom can do basically everything that Spider-Man can do, including honing in on its very own knockoff spider sense, but with the added benefit that it can actually somehow disable Peter's spider sense when concerning itself. It can also shapeshift around its host body, taking basically any form including weapons, extra limbs, you name it. Venom's symbiotic relationship with its host also gives the host enhanced endurance and a considerable healing factor. However, Venom, like most symbiotes, is extremely weak to certain sonic frequencies and fire. Depending on the host, Venom's homicidal impulses may not be able to be controlled, making it a pretty sizable chaos factor, especially if the host and the symbiote are trying to work towards two different goals. You know, like killing and eating people versus not killing and eating people. As for what to expect from the movie version, most, if not all, of Venom's most recognizable characteristics are probably going to make the big screen leap, with one notable exception. Because this version exists in a universe isolated from Spider-Man, the symbiote's suit stage and subsequent scorn is obviously going to be missing. This likely won't make too much of a difference, but it will mean that Venom won't have his iconic white spider logo and won't be bonding with Eddie because of their mutual need to get back at Spidey. By the looks of things, however, its powers and abilities will all be exactly what you can expect, as well as its complicated, but sort of mutually beneficial relationship with Eddie Brock. And there you have a brief summary of Venom. Are you looking forward to seeing the new Venom film? And what specifically do you hope to see out of the tumultuous relationship between Eddie Brock and the symbiote? Let us know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.